So with this official start, I would ask my colleague Krena to share the pre-recorded part so we can then start with the session.
In the past two calls, we introduced the three approaches: system conversion, selective data transition, and new implementation. Today, we are here with Klaus from S&P, Marco from CBS, Burkhard from Natuvion, and Clemens from the product team to continue and to look at the typical challenges that the customer have faced in the past. Marco, what can you share with us?
Well, what we quite often see is that customers want to use a standard conversion approach to move their systems to S4HANA. And when they are exploring this option and maybe starting to analyze their systems, they often find old and inactive company codes in their system they don't need anymore and want to leave behind when they are moving to S4HANA.
Okay. And Burkhard, what is your experience with?
Yes, in other customer examples, we find that customers have evolved from R2 to R3 and then to SAP ERP, and find that they still carry a lot of old data with them. But when moving to private cloud, they would like to leave very old data behind.
Mm-hmm. And your experience, Klaus, what do you want to share?
Oh, we have customers running very old versions of SAP. We have customers in US, for example, running in 4.6. And they are not even on Unicode. That means what BTC can help us is to bring them up, to speed up the transformation to S4, to speed up the transformation to the cloud. And this is what we can see here. There are no special projects running to do before. You can do it in one step.
Clemens, so what the SAP can offer?
SAP has a new solution for selective data transition called SAP Business Transformation Center. And we are positioning SAP Business Transformation Center in a spectrum between the system conversion and the new implementation to help selective data transition for customers who might not want to go into the very complex fashions of selective data transition, but who are looking more for a clean and easy, straightforward way of selective data transition, and still want to keep the benefits of the approach. And this is why we called it SAP Business Transformation with the lean selective data transition scenario.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Clemens. So this means that Business Transformation Center provides a transformation solution to address selective data transition. But before we let you share more details about the Business Transformation Center, let's explore how partner and customer can determine if the lean selective data transition approach is suitable or the tailored STT approach should be considered.
So, SAP Business Transformation Center provide the option to enhance your system conversion, addressing certain basic data transformation needs. Previously, only possible if in a selective data transition engagement with service and partners. If you recall our example from earlier, you will find that there are typical 3 dimensions the customer needs to reflect upon when considering to leverage lean selective data transition with the SAP Business Transformation Center. Marco, tell me the first dimension.
Yes, so the first dimension is that customer would like to filter out data they don't need anymore and want to leave behind when they are moving to S4HANA. For example, data that belongs to inactive company codes or data that is older than needed for analyzers or legal or audit requirements. So during the system conversion approach, it's not possible to filter out any data. So this means that the complete system will be moved and transferred to S4HANA, And with BTC and the lean STT approach, we now have the possibility to filter on company code level and on business or migration objects to leave old data or inactive data behind. For more complex filtering objects, customers require a tailored STT approach.
Burkhard, can you tell me the second dimension?
Yeah, thank you. Another dimension is the need to transform data in support of organizational or business process changes as they transition their data. Customers that leverage their transition to SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition to drive true business transformation often wish to implement new organizational structures to merge, to separate, or eliminate business areas. Transformation may lead to business process simplifications or automation with the help of artificial intelligence, for example, based innovations. These are only possible with a tailored selective data transformation engagement.
And finally, Klaus, what else?
Yeah, as mentioned before, it's the system readiness. Yeah, it means what the customer has to do to transform the system to S4, and this can be done in one step. That means Unicode conversion, then let's say the business partner, the new GL implementation, maybe also let's say a kind of changes can be done in one step. And this is system readiness. That means the main benefit of BTC is to do this in one step, to run this in one project, reducing the test efforts, reducing the effort for the business, and do it in one step, and not to do several projects before the migration.
Thank you. And now, Clemens, now we have a better perspective about the SAP Business Transformation Center, why we have it. Can you tell us something more?
Thank you, Stefano. SAP Business Transformation Center. So our mission and our idea around Business Transformation Center was to create a solution for our customers and their partners to support them with the end-to-end process of managing an end-to-end data migration and transformation. And as you can see on the slides, we are really starting it at the very first touch points of a customer or a partner when they engage in conversations around data transformation initiatives. So with several functionalities that we have under the area of get access, we released the so-called digital blueprint last year at Sapphire. This year we now released selective data transition. And we are further supporting our customers and partners when they use Business Transformation Center also through the other phases of the project. So whether it is about drawing insights, profiling the data that they have in their current traditional SAP ERP focused landscape, over to the typical enhance and transform topics where we see the classical tasks about extracting, transforming, loading the data to the new target environment, which is S/4HANA Private Cloud in our case. Then everything that has to do with the deployment of the data, and in the end, the very famous and favorite topics for all customers around discussions with their auditors. It's the topic of confirming the correctness and the consistency of the data. Yeah, because from SAP side, obviously we want to ensure our customers get a consistent and fully running system, and our customers need to ensure that towards their auditors and other legal entities, the data is consistent, not only to the very last data set, but also to numbers and figures, so everything is running fine. SAP Business Transformation Center helps our customers to orchestrate the full process, and it does so by providing SAP methodology, SAP predefined content that we are shipping, and we are basing SAP Business Transformation Center on Business Technology Platform, so our customers can also benefit from the latest and greatest in terms of technology and solutions that we have in the SAP product portfolio. Commercially, we are shipping Business Transformation Center as part of the Cloud ALM subscription. So every customer who has a cloud service subscription or is under a SAP Enterprise Support contract or every customer who considers to move to RISE with SAP is entitled to use Cloud ALM and gets all Business Transformation Center applications and functionalities included in their subscription. So to conclude, SAP Business Transformation Center offers faster data migration and transformation capabilities because we standardized a lot of the functionalities, a lot of the migration content and the process as such. We are promoting SAP Business Transformation Center as a solution, as a service model through transformation factories. So we are collaborating with partners, we are collaborating with the Selective Data Transition Engagement partner community that is gathered today. And the architecture is based on Business Technology Platform, and we are deploying with SAP Cloud ALM. Our ambition is to lower the total cost of implementation and operation for our customers. And as said, we are included in SAP Cloud Service subscriptions, in SAP Enterprise Support and RISE with SAP. That also means that all of our customers and their partners get full support from SAP for using Business Transformation Center features and capabilities. Let's have a quick look at the architecture of Business Transformation Center. We have basically two layers. We have the product layer and the services layer. And in the product layer, you see the blue bar at the top. That is SAP Business Transformation Center sitting on Business Technology Platform within the Cloud ALM tenant. And it contains all the necessary applications and features for scoping of your data transition scope, for modeling, means there's things like mappings and other technical topics included, and for the execution of the data migration, all the applications and functions that you need in the cycle and monitoring area. So for example, about status management for the data migration, error handling, restarting capabilities, documentation of the whole process. And we are connecting Business Transformation Center directly to a source ECC ERP system, which needs to be ERP 6.0 with at least enhancement package 7, and can reside on-premise or also in the cloud already. And we are connecting to a S/4HANA Private Cloud Edition system as the target system. That target system is a system that has been created based on a shell that has been copied from the source ERP system. So mainly a system that only contains customizing and some dictionary information, and has been converted by the standard conversion functionality that we are offering as part of the software update manager as well. There is no data flow between Business Transformation Center in BTP and the source and the target system, but we are directly migrating data on table level between the source ECC system and the target S/4HANA system. That has two benefits for the customers. Benefit number one is a performance or a data traffic benefit, basically, because we are utilizing direct connectivity between source and target system. And benefit number two is about data privacy. The data stays in the regime of the customer, so we are not moving data across the cloud and across some foreign infrastructures here. On the services layer, we are in the market with Business Transformation Center now for the second year. That means also in terms of development and capabilities of the solution, it's not as mature as potentially other solutions that are mostly coming as a combination of tools and services, as we know from the community. But that also, on the other side, opens the playground for third-party applications, for partner applications and their services, to fill the white spaces that we are currently not covering with Business Transformation Center. What we are covering with Business Transformation Center at the moment is really this mid part of the migration as such, so really ensuring that a customer and a partner using Business Transformation Center gets a consistent, fully working target system after they migrated their data with Business Transformation Center. Today, we are offering the scoping objects of company code. We will release the time slice functionality around early next year, so that our customers will be able to choose the company codes and then later on the fiscal years, maybe also on an objects level, for their migration. The rest of the capabilities that you also heard about in the other webinars and that you also potentially know because you have been in touch with the offerings of the partners that are members of the Selective Data Transition Engagement, these are services that you can complement to Business Transformation Center. We have a few prerequisites for Business Transformation Center usage, and also those we can see on the services execution layer, where we say it all starts with a readiness check that a customer carries out in the ECC system. So this is also a very handy feature. Basically, the readiness check every customer needs to do regardless of their transformation path they are choosing. So they anyway need to do it. And with this, it's also a good starting point for any discussions that take place in a workshop or in early sales cycles, because already their Business Transformation Center, especially with the digital blueprint functionalities, can be used. Then we have some further prerequisites. For example, business partner needs to be activated and is kind of a pre-project, so to say, on the ECC or on the ERP side. Also for the topic of new general ledger, we are currently assuming that all scenarios that go beyond the standard activation of new general ledger, that is also part of the typical standard conversion process, need to be implemented as a pre-project for consistency reasons and for the reasons of complexity, because typically new general ledger implementation is not about only switching it on, but also there is some structural discussions with the subject matter experts and with the business departments on the customer side included. This is why we said in the standard solution of Business Transformation Center that is open to every customer, to every partner to use right out of the box, we didn't want to include such complexity at the moment. So if we are looking a bit at the roadmap and at the different building blocks that we are envisioning looking forward for Business Transformation Center, as I mentioned, we released the digital blueprint at Sapphire last year. That was the starting point for our partners and customers using Business Transformation Center for their very early discussions around finding the right transition path, looking at their source system situation, maybe also use the result of digital blueprint for some housekeeping activities. Then this year we released the lean selective data transition scenario, allowing our customers and partners to use Business Transformation Center to scope along company codes, to scope along time slice objects going forward. And we are now obviously looking as part of our roadmap at objects around extended verification, about chart of accounts unification topics, and about the topic of account to ledger, both of the last topics coming frequently out of discussions around simplification items. So that's what we are planning for the next couple of quarters. And for more detailed information, it's always nice to look at the SAP Roadmap Explorer, because there we have the latest information available about where we want to go with Business Transformation Center from a product management point of view. Let's talk a bit about the value proposition for a smart migration with the lean selective data transition. At first, for us from SAP side, we want to help our customers and also our partners with the reduction of total cost of implementation and of operation. And a few of the things that I have presented to you already give you an idea around how that reduction could happen. The next topic that we obviously want to cover with our solution is to really make lean selective data transition as guided and as secure as possible. Once you try out the demo version, for example, or if you go into your own cloud ALM environment and you give it a try, you will see from the UI and from the overall application flow that we invested a lot of time and a lot of ideas into building a guided and secure to use solution to do the scoping, to do the migration part, to do everything that needs to happen in preparation and in the aftermath of a selective data transition. And that, seen as a complete bundle, should really help to produce consistent and compliant results in terms of a S/4HANA system that then is ready to be used with all the benefits that you have from a selective data transition, the slicing topic, the topic of historical postings, any kind of also reorganization, harmonization topics that today, again, we don't have as part of Business Transformation Center, but that we can offer as part of the work that the selective data transition engagement, the partner community is doing. And obviously also, if you look at the roadmap items, there is the one or the other topic that we might include going forward into Business Transformation Center. And in terms of total cost of ownership reduction, we have also here some touch points with the topic of RISE with SAP, where you can utilize Business Transformation Center to reduce the data footprint of your system before you move into a RISE contract. Because in RISE, we have the concept of full user equivalence, we have the concept of memory extension, and it's obviously a nice play for customers and for partners to use Business Transformation Center to bring down their data before they move to RISE, because obviously conversion offers you some data reduction with the compression features, but with selective data transition, you can further reduce it by getting rid of company codes that you created for training purposes, company codes that you migrated because you bought a business, for example, or company codes that you want to get rid of because you sold a business and the period of data retention is over. Typically in some countries it's 6 years, other countries have 10 years. So it's a nice opportunity when you anyway think about migration and going into RISE to think about, okay, what is the data footprint that I really need to keep for keeping my business operational? And that's one of the levers. And obviously with the time slice dimension, there is further opportunities to also look at, let's say, okay, are we doing some lean selective data transition, or are we really looking into archiving topics? So we see some really nice total cost of ownership of operations reduction here as well.
Clemens, is the time slice possible for different modules? That means I can say in FI I have to keep 7 years, but in MM I only want to keep 2 years.
That's a very nice concept and question, Klaus. And indeed, SAP Business Transformation Center, we built around a concept for the time slice where we said we will release time slicing by objects. So we will start with objects in financials early next year, and we will go throughout all the modules. So we really give the freedom of choice to customers and partners using our solution to scope or to define the time slice by objects, because there might be different process and operational needs to define time slices on an object.
Yeah, for example, in plant maintenance, for example, you have to keep the complete history, otherwise you cannot service the industry, and this is totally different in different countries. Yep. Okay.
So I introduced you to the concept and to the functionalities of SAP Business Transformation Center. Typically the question arises, okay, how can I define whether Business Transformation Center would be the right fit for my transformation project if especially I know about all the offerings and the beautiful solutions that also the SDT engagement offers. So what we did in product management for Business Transformation Center, we developed a quick and easy 6 steps decision tree where every partner, every customer can easily evaluate whether the lean SDT approach with Business Transformation Center would be a fit. And we included it also here in the webinar for your reference if you are interested in what the different steps are. Typically, we are asking about releases, we are asking about the prerequisites of new general ledger and the business partner activation. We are asking about whether a subscription for Cloud ALM is active. And obviously, we have also one factor at the moment that we say we are currently supporting one-to-one migrations between one source system and one target system. And we are also supporting scenarios only where we say we have a Big Bang approach. That means a one-off data migration of a set of company codes from a source to a target system. One side remark here, Business Transformation Center supports and focuses the migration of the data from source to target. We are currently not deleting or removing anything in the source system. So that would be a separate initiative, a separate project that would be part of the overall roadmap a customer is running with SAP themselves or with one of the partners. In terms of further preparatory tasks that we see when customers want to use Business Transformation Center, basically, and that also kind of pays back to the closeness to the system conversion that was mentioned earlier in the webinar. Basically, we are relying on the same technical preparations and functional preparations as for a system conversion. So we do have the readiness check as a prerequisite. The nice thing is readiness check functionality is already built in the source system, so there is no additional installations needed for a customer who wants to benefit from Business Transformation Center, because on the one side they can just export the readiness check result and upload it to Business Transformation Center. On the other side, all of the software that the customer needs for later usage of Business Transformation Center for the migration is also already included in current shipments of SAP ERP. And the same is true for the target system, where also we have already all of the software components available, so that a customer and the partner ideally only needs to follow the installation guide that we provide on the SAP website to get Business Transformation Center up and running. And then we have obviously the shell creation, which today at this point in time is outside activity from Business Transformation Center. But there is plenty of functionalities and services in the market to create a shell. Yeah? We are doing checks as part of the Business Transformation Center process, whether that shell has been set up correctly and is really empty in terms of master data and transactional data. That also explains the one-off methodology that we are foreseeing. And on the functional side, we have the typical topics around simplification items that we have, same as with the conversion. We have the customer vendor integration or the business partner activation topic. And we have the topic of custom code adoption. And of course, if there are any inconsistencies coming as part of the readiness checks, these need to be handled as well as part of the functional aspects before Business Transformation Center can come into play for the data migration part. So that one we will skip as well because I think the process and activities that need to be done as part of Business Transformation Center Lean Selective Data Transition scenario. And that illustration can really help you also to build a cutover plan, because from Business Transformation Center, these are the key activities that you need to carry out if you use our solution for a lean selective data transition. So there is pretty much nothing more, but there's also nothing less in terms of core Business Transformation Center steps and activities. Obviously, if we are looking at the white spots topic, and if we are looking at prerequisites and also about post-migration activities, there is a few more activities that will come as part of the cutover design once customers enter a project themselves or with the partner, that's for sure. But from key activities, we do have the topics in terms of executing the readiness check, creating a digital blueprint, doing the scoping exercises means having a look at the company code, having a look at the detailed data for transformation objects. As well, we have topics such as a table scan, where we say, okay, there is a certain set of tables that come connected to the company code or to the transformation object scope, but there are also tables in the third-party namespace, there are tables in the customer namespace that we would also bring up as part of the scoping exercise, because they obviously also contain data that are connected to the company codes or that we need to have in the target system to ensure that the system is fully running and operational. We have the modeling part. In the modeling part today, we are mainly supporting standard modelings, mappings that we need to have the system up and operational. Going forward, we are working on further modeling and mapping capabilities here. And in the cycle and monitoring activities, we really have this, let's say, executing the pure table migration, data migration that is guided via the user interface, that provides constantly status information about where we are and whether everything went fine. And then as the post activities, we do have the topics of finance conversion that needs to happen and the validation topics that we, in terms of validation, also want to cover more and more with Business Transformation Center. But that's basically it from a process and activities point of view. And also here you can see this topic about total cost of implementation, right? So we really want to bring down the throughput time end to end for a cycle. And that also plays back into getting a cost-efficient, time-efficient migration process that benefits from selective data transition capabilities and features. In summary, we have also put here together a one-pager for everyone to review the scope and availability of Lean Selective Data Transition with Business Transformation Center. We have included further links to our SAP support portal with some videos, demo content, demo tenant as well. And there's also contact information to the SAP product management included in case there are more questions or feature requests, for example. So you can always reach out to our team as well. And you can also find included here the links and the QR code to the SAP Business Transformation Center pages on the SAP support portal, as well as our new SAP community topic page about data transition and transformation, where we also included videos with our product owners around Business Transformation Center.
We have a better perspective on what is offering the SAP Business Transformation Center. We will learn about the capabilities available today and what is come in the future. For example, the time slice. The benefit is clear, as the SAP Business Transformation Center will help the customer moving RISE with SAP with a smaller data footprint. Marco, in your project experience, what do you think the customer can use today from the Business Transformation Center?
Well, initially I think of customers that have only one productive ECC system in their landscape and don't want to combine the move to S/4HANA with additional business or process changes or re-engineering topics. So typically those customers will choose and use the conversion approach to move their system to S/4HANA. And for doing this, they have to complete the readiness check. And if they have completed the readiness check, they could also run the digital blueprint with BTC. And let's say the BTC will show inactive company codes in the system, for example, and how much old data they still have in the system and could be left behind. So the business blueprint could indicate if STT approach could bring added value to their transition.
Okay, and Burkhard, what about customers that go for system conversion? They could use it?
Yes, from my experience, customers who consider a pure conversion can start with the digital blueprints themselves. It's very easy in the BTC. Understands their data better and the complexity of the data landscape, looking for requirements that go beyond brownfield with SAP BTC. So, and if then customers find that the preparation would take too long or would be too complex, selective data transition needs to be considered. And if they find the data volume is too large, for example, or due to old legacy data in this case, or they require process changes, for example, and organizational changes, they can reach out to one of the partners here to discuss further options.
And Klaus?
It's always going about costs. What costs the project, and how can I save, or reduce the costs, and that's the most important thing. That means, from my point of view, the BTC help to reduce the costs, to reduce the project costs, to reduce the testing effort, to reduce the projects running.
Okay, so Clemens, customer, what shall I do to engage the SAP Business Transformation Center?
Obviously, if you are a customer, you should quickly try out the nice features of SAP Business Transformation Center. You can do so by entitling yourself for a Cloud ALM tenant. That's a quite easy and quick process. Typically takes around 20 minutes to get that Cloud ALM tenant set up for you out of your SAP BTP cockpit. And then you would pretty much prepare for the same steps as you would do in a system conversion. The first part obviously is to run a readiness check. By the way, we also saw a lot of partners already and customers using the readiness check for very early engagement talks. Even before they were talking about the project, they had a quick view at the systems. And that was also nice to see, because it's changed very much from the traditional way of how, for example, a partner prepared for such a workshop. So in the old days, we went there with our Excel spreadsheets, we downloaded the data from the system, then we tried to make it look nice in Microsoft Excel or in PowerPoint. Then we went to the customer, and then we found out, okay, maybe that data is outdated in the meanwhile, so we needed to do that tedious process again. Today, thanks to Business Transformation Center and the input of the readiness check export, it's there with one click, and it's also visually easily readable and accessible, and is actually a lot of fun to use it in such environments and discussions on the different levels of an organization. And yeah, on the other side, you asked me about prerequisites. As I mentioned, in the source system, everything is there. In the target system, once the shell has been created, also customers have everything available. And with the help of our video content and with the quick start guides that we have, basically, customers and their partners are ready to go immediately.
Okay, so today we have learned that SAP Business Transformation Center is offering a simple, easy to use way to address certain basic data transformation needs that customers may face considering a system conversion. 3 basic dimensions will help determine if SAP Business Transformation Center is sufficient to address the requirement. The need of filtering data, the need of process organizational redesign, and the system readiness for a conversion. We also learn about the benefit the SAP Business Transformation Center, including it is of use as a cloud solution integrated into Cloud ALM. The guided procedure helping to reduce complexity, the speed, and the reliability that help reduce the cost of implementation. And now we can open for Q&A.
All right. Thank you very much to our speakers. Thank you, Burkhard, Marco, Stefano, Clemens, and did I forget somebody else? And of course, Klaus. And yes, we during the session there were already several questions addressed via Q&A tool. And maybe before we open, or actually now we are opening for Q&A part for our participants. Now is your chance to raise your questions, comments, or any feedback, and you have a unique opportunity to interact with our experts directly. If you want to speak up, you might raise your hand and I'll try to unmute you. But before we will be figuring out who raised the hand, maybe to our experts, a short summary of the question that were already raised via Q&A tool. Maybe some of you can give us a short summary of what was raised so far.
Thanks, Larissa. Let me start first. So we had close to 20 questions in the Q&A, so very busy 30 minutes that we had. Mainly focused around Business Transformation Center as a product. So we had all kinds of questions around the licensing and the costs. And just to reiterate, so as soon as you as a partner or as a customer are eligible for a SAP Cloud ALM license or tenant, you will get Business Transformation Center functionality on top at no additional fees or license. We had a few questions around the scope of Business Transformation Center and how it compares to selective data transition approach as such and as offered also by the community partners. Business Transformation Center today is mainly working at a company code level, so you can scope for company codes, and you can later in Q1 next year also include the time slice dimension. However, already today, you could also use Business Transformation Center with the digital blueprint functionalities that would help you in the scoping. Also, if you want to go for something more complex that is then again handled by the SDT community partners with their tools and services. And a final topic that we had in the Q&A section until now was again the architecture discussion. So Business Transformation Center as a product, how does it actually work under the hood, so to say? We are a solution that runs on business technology platform, and basically all the steering, the management of the whole process is done, let's say, at the platform of Cloud ALM, and then with our own applications in the dashboard. And in the backyard, if you look at your source and your target system, it's basically traditional ABAP, homegrown, traditional technology that is proven for many, many years to work fine. And we are doing that also with the table-based approach of transferring the data during the migration to ensure the consistency of the data and then of the resulting system for our customers. Yeah, Larissa, that's at least the large section that I was answering, and opening it to the colleagues as well.
Right. If anyone can add something to the raised question, so go ahead. And we have one raised hand, and I'll try to unmute and ask Aline to. Let's see if it works. If not, to those who are in our audience today, please, now is the moment. Somebody else raised their hand. So,
Hello, can I ask a question?
yeah,
Yes.
sure, we can hear you, Avinash. Great, great that you managed to unmute. So go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. It was a lovely session, very useful. But what I like to understand is obviously, we are a customer who are already on RISE. We have one greenfield implementation of S/4HANA. We have another a system which is still on ECC, which needs to go to S/4HANA. So we have Cloud ALM, which is a prerequisite. So we can use Business Transformation Center. We need to activate that, I understand. But you mentioned that you are going to share with us steps on how to approach this. The question is, as we are migrating from source ECC system to target, so I have two questions related to that. Do we need to do a clean core, exercise before we take that approach? That is question A. And the question B is, because we're already on RISE, how do we create the shell instance? Because if we have to we are not able to run the sum tool because that is something that is done by the RISE ECS team. So how do we approach this?
So great questions.
Stefano,
So
Stefano,
who will like to start?
Mhm.
do you want to take it, or otherwise I can also
Okay, I can take it. Maybe you can add your comments. Okay, so the clean core topic is not required. I would say it's welcome, but it's not required. What you need to do, by the way, is when you move your system to S4, you need to consider. I mean, here we are talking about, for instance, I suppose you want to move your current SAC system in another RISE instance.
Yes.
In your target. So this is you can do via system conversion, you can do via new implementation, you can do with SDT. If your requirement for SDT, so for example, you have some data on top, maybe Lean SDT could be a good approach, and you can use PTC. The clean core topic, I would say, is not changing the scenario. Of course, if you want to reach a clean core, an implementation is probably the best way to go. The Lean SDT is very similar to, on the repository point of view, is very similar to what is happening with the system conversion.
Mm-hmm. So can we achieve so I have to create an options paper to weigh up the options, whether it is system migration to S4, as in brownfield. Greenfield is not something that we will consider, or lean as STT. Now,
Okay.
the question is, what is going to be simpler for us? Because we are on ECC already. We don't have any Unicode problems and all that because we are on a sufficient patch level. And we have SFIN embedded. Because I have to sort of give inputs to our management that lean SDT is going to be the preferred option because, as explained by Clemens on the chat, that it can be much faster and cleaner. So can I take that as a recommendation from this focus group that is preferred?
Yeah. If you remember, we discussed 3 dimensions: system readiness, process redesign, and data footprint. Okay. So if your system has the processes that you need, you don't have all data in the systems, and you don't need to redesign your processes, and ready for the system conversion, then you can consider probably the system conversion the best way, because it's everything in place. If you have problem with the data, for example, you want to left behind some data because you have, for example, obsolete entities in your system.
Yes.
You want the system is not fully ready. For example, you are not Unicode. Then Lean SDT could be an option that could bring you to S4 in a faster way.
Because we have a lot of technical debt. So will Lean SDT support such a migration? As in, we have a lot of custom code, a lot of Z tables, but we want to take Clean
for
Core.
example, if you have a lot of custom table, you want to left behind some custom tables, Lean SDT could be an option, because you can decide this table will not be migrated and you can left behind. With system conversion, you will get this table in the target system.
Yes. Okay.
You need to do this kind of, evaluation and evaluate what is the best way for you.
So do you provide some tooling to do this evaluation as to which will be the best approach for our situation? Because we've got several add-ons as well, such as Utopia for master data. We've got SFIN. So is there like a tool that will tell us which is the best approach to take? Because we want to be as clean core as possible in the target. There are some scenarios that we will need to take over because those define our company uniqueness, but that is very small. But can you provide some insights as to what will give me, a very scientific way of determining which is the best approach, whether it is going to be brownfield or Lean SDT?
There are advisory service that will recommend you the best scenario for your case.
No tooling.
Yeah. I'm not aware of any tool. Maybe Clemens, you can add something, but there are advisory services that will consider your readiness check, your situation, your data, and will provide you the best approach, the best scenario.
I would also say it's mostly a combination even of some tools and always services as offered by the partners here in the community. So,
because in SAP, talking about SAP side, there are advisory services that will combine readiness check, data analysis on the data to provide you the best scenario. In the partner, in the SDT engagement, they have similar capabilities.
So first step could be, sorry to step in now. First step could be to have a look on the homepage of the Selective Data Transition community. There we have a kind of a decision matrix or decision table with all the options among each other and considering different criteria, how to decide on which approach. Yes, and the next step would really be a kind of a let's say digital blueprint or a tool-based look into the system and also consultancy services to decide on which approach would be the best for you. But the first indication could be this decision table on the support side of SAP.
Okay, that is useful.
Thank you. Yes, perfect.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Just the final question was, how do I create a shell system if you are already on RISE for the target?
This can be asked to the RISE people, and I think in SAP we can offer as a service. On the partner side, maybe, I don't know, Burkhard or Marco, you want to say something?
I can answer this question. So in the end, we as partner from the community have possibilities to create an empty shell copy. And so we have all their own capabilities and tools to create empty shell systems. Yeah.
Also, when you're already on RISE.
Yeah.
That's great.
By the way, for Avinash, we just posted a link in the chat to the community, to the SDT community that our experts have mentioned. So please pick up this link and check it out to navigate your path forward.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So we still have one raised hand, so but somehow
Aline raised the hand many
yes, it
minutes ago.
doesn't work with unmute. Aline, can you hear us? Can you try to unmute? All right. So again, we are on top of the hour. There is a space for one more question. So to those who are still in our session, leverage this opportunity. If not, then the recording of today's session will be available under the playlist that we have on the YouTube. I've already posted the link in the chat. And so if you want to listen to the content again, please go there. And of course, the link to the SDT community, again, for everyone who is kind of hesitating or looking for more advice, please make sure to check this link and leverage the resources that are mentioned there. So I can't see more questions in the chat with Aline. I don't know why it doesn't work. Somehow this raised hand is still there. You can also contact me directly so with your questions so I can connect you to our experts of today's session. With this, thank you very much to our speakers today. Thank you, Burkhard, Marco, Stefano, Clemens, and thank you to my colleague Krenner, who was sharing the screen, and to everyone who have contributed to this session. Also, thank you very much to our participants for being with us, for visiting our session, for being live and being so active. This is a great, great value that we have here. And stay tuned with us next year. We will be offering more topics. And as I've already mentioned, I will be sharing more information per email to those who have subscribed to our series. With this, wish you a great holiday season. Hope to see you next year. Thank you very much and bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.